Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be Starfield Beginner Outpost must-haves. So the outposts are a little, not daunting, but they're not super comfortable feeling when you start building them. Dropping it down is fairly easy. Any planet you go to that isn't hazardous or extreme terrain, you can put it down. The more you upgrade your outpost, the more you'll be able to put your outposts on any planet moving forward. So a quick little run through of how I maxed out my outpost. When you go to upgrade your outpost in your skill tree, you're going to need to unlock this skill, Outpost Engineering, so that you can know how to do more things. So the individual ranks require you to make, it's going to specifically say unique modules. Unique modules just means you can't put down the same chair 20 times and say, oh, I made 20 modules. So what I did was I got a little creative. I went over to the cheapest things I could think of to make, which was in furniture. As you can see, there's a lot of furniture to be made here, right? So I made one of each of the pieces of furniture. Then I came over and I went to decorations. Decorations might be even easier because it's a lot less material and there are many of them, many things you can do. And you can scroll through and each of them means something. So like it says 1 of 8 on my painter here, that's 8 separate painters, which to the game is 8 separate modules. So if you just make 8 of those, make all 9 of these, make all 11 of those, you've already banged out that level. Level up, make the sink, make these, all these, there's 2 here, there's 9 there, 5 there. You can very quickly max out that rank if you've got some points to use. So once you've maxed it out and you want to start getting into the base building, there is a very, very in-depth amount of things you can do in this game with your base, but I'm going to keep it simple here. The must-haves are going to be workbenches, for sure. Your workbenches are gonna be the easiest way for you to upgrade your gear and everything else you're gonna use in the game. I would recommend the spacesuit workbench because you want to upgrade your jetpack ASAP when you start playing. The industrial workbench is how you're gonna make everything for your actual base. The weapon workbench is going to help you modify your weapon, and I would recommend the pharmaceutical lab so that you can make the potency of your health packs and everything you use a lot more. So I also included the self-service bounty clearance because, you know, sometimes you do go places and you do end up getting bounties and stuff, so it's just easier to come here and clear it out than have to worry about losing anything you've stolen out of your inventory. And you have to make sure you do it in a system that is not connected to the system in which you have the bounty, because it will pop up and say you have to go to them to do that. So change system governments and a different system, make a quick base, make a quick this, boom, you can pay off all your bounties. The last thing I would say is obviously the research lab. The research lab is how you're going to be able to unlock all these things to make for your base. So that's step 1. Step 1, you want to crank out the workbenches. The ones that are must-haves are industrial workbench and the research lab. From there, you can start building the other must-haves to get to the rest of these workbenches. Some of them need specific materials. The next thing you're going to need are containers for solids, specifically solids, because you're going to want to find a planet that has aluminum, and you're going to want to find a planet that also has iron. Now, combined would be the best bet, and there are tons of them, tons of planets that you can find, or moons even, that have both iron and aluminum. You're going to want to zoom in on the map. I'll show you right here how I did this one. If I explore this map surface, whoop, there it goes. You can see here, if I hover over, that's beryllium, aluminum, helium, and then here, this darker color is iron. So what I did was I built 2 different bases here because none of my iron really overlapped with anything else. So I built 2 different bases, one in an area like this where it's iron close to these, close to the aluminum. If you're lucky and you zoom in and you get real close, and when you land, the game may spawn you in with all 3 resources being in this one little circle. So you can put a base down here and be able to get all 3 at once. If not the worst thing in the world. just drop one in the iron zone, drop one in the zone where you have the aluminum, and you're good to go. Once you drop into the zone, you're gonna want to drop down and make your outpost right there. Once you drop down your actual outpost here, it's gonna bring up this screen and you can start building away. So the first thing you're gonna want to build are these. You're gonna need refinery forges because you're gonna need to actually get this material that is on the ground. And the way you can tell when you're putting your base down, in case you don't already know, if you walk around with this open up, your scanner opened up, you see how the ground right here is normal colored, and then you come over and it's a split. It says aluminum, so you can see it right there, but if you're really far away, you can't really tell because it won't tell you from the distance. You'll see the color, the discoloration rather. When the discoloration starts happening, that means there's a material there in the ground you can use the extractors to pull. So that's all I did. I landed right here, I walked around, I found there was at least one large area, and boom, I was done. For the way that I mine, I didn't need anywhere near this many extractors. Completely unnecessary. I didn't know in the beginning that you really only need like 3 or 4, and then you can just keep replacing those as you upgrade to better and better ones. And simply because once you build the extractor on in your camp, I'll switch to the screen. So once I came up, went over to extractor. So another fun fact is the base, once you drop your base down, you're only gonna have in the top right where it says extractors, you're only gonna have the extractors for materials within your base. So if you put your little base down right here and you don't see water or nickel or whatever it is you're looking for that you thought was there, it's not in the range. So you can delete this, move it over some if you need to, drop another one, anything like that. But it says aluminum here because all there is here is aluminum for me to harvest. So that's why. So I don't use the first person view right here. I use this view when I'm building because then I can see everything in my base. I can zoom out easily. You can see the yellow line going all the way around telling me where the limitation of my base is. These are all the different pockets I can make putting out more aluminum extractors. But as I said, you only need 3, 4 max. I didn't need all this. So the second thing you're going to want to build once you build the extractors is going to be solar arrays, specifically solar arrays. Now, there are other means of power generation, yes, but solar arrays are the best route because you get a decent amount of power from them. And with that decent amount of power, which is 6 by the way, it doesn't cost many materials. It costs aluminum, beryllium, and copper. Beryllium and copper are the only ones you're really gonna need to mine because again, we're building this in an aluminum rich area. So worst case scenario, go to any store. There are tons of stores and tons of planets, even on the main planet you go to in the game, and buy it. You can buy copper, you can buy beryllium, you can buy aluminum, and you just need enough. As you can see, it's only 211 to put down the solar array. If you buy enough to put down 5, 6 of these, that's plenty that you're gonna need just to start off. Remember, this is all just for the beginner base. Once you have those down, you can drop them anywhere. It doesn't need to be near your extractors like this. I thought it did. They're not localized. I can put it all the way over here, and at the bottom right part of my screen where it says need power versus total power, my total power is still gonna crank on up. Everything's quote unquote wireless in this. Basically, you don't have to attach the solar arrays to that. It's just how much does this base have in power. So if you want to make it look pretty, you could solar farm it. That way all your power area is separate from all your material gathering area. But at this time, this is my first base. I didn't really care. I was just learning. So once you have that down and you have those down, you're going to start cranking that stuff out. The next thing you're going to need is somewhere to put all the material that it's cranking out. It's going to be these shipping containers. So there's a solid, liquid, and a gas container type that you can drop. Obviously, if you're in an area where you're mining solid, like aluminum, you don't need to make the liquid or gas containers. You only need to make the solid ones. Now, at the time, I only had the resources to make these small ones, so I made walls of small ones. But since I've learned how to make the giant ones that can hold, I think it's close to 4 times the amount that one of these can hold. So now my other bases are much more stacked. So let's do a quick overview on inventory management for resources. All right, so once you got your extractors down, like we already said, then you have your power down, like we've explained how to do that as well. All these red lines are not going to be on your screen. All right, it's going to be nothing there. You're just going to have extractors pumping stuff out. What you want to do is you want to drop down and you want to put down one of these resource containers. Specifically, you're gonna want to put down a solid, because what I'm mining is aluminum, which is a solid. Once you put it down, it'll be in here. I have a lot already, but I'll put this one on top here. Now I have one there. So what I'm gonna want to do is make sure that now this gets filled. To make sure this gets filled, which is what I did right here for the first one, you come over to your little machine, and it says exactly how you want to do it. For Xbox One, it's right trigger. I right trigger this. It's going to make this red thread. I bring the red thread over to the container. It's going to snap you straight to the center of the one you want to do. Hit right trigger again. Now it knows when this pumps out that material, bring it on over and put it into that container. Now what you want to do is daisy chain. You want to link them all together. So as you start pumping these out and building more and stacking and stacking and stacking and stacking, I went up because I couldn't go any further left, but you want to link this one to this one, and this one to this one, and this one to this one, and then zigzag it up all the way to however you designed yours. You can make them all flat and make a whole bed of them. You can do anything you want to do. I just figure up was the most efficient way to do it. That way I have a lot more space to work with. So what's going to happen is, once, let's say all these pump out 1 and you have 10. So 10 aluminum is going to hit this container. This container is going to say, hey, I'm told to default to the one next to me if I have room. So if this one's not full at all, it's going to come over here, and it's going to say, is this one full? This one's not full at all? All right, move it here. Okay, this one's not full, move it here. And it's going to keep daisy chaining all the way up to the top, where you can see I have a green here. So this one is getting all of the rest's material in. Actually, it's this one to be specific. It zigzags all the way up for me, and all of it comes here. So let's say 100's pumped out all at once. It's going to hit that first one down there, and it's going to daisy chain that 100 all the way up to here. Let's say the capacity for this one is 100. Once it hits 100, then it's going to say, okay, I'm too full, I can't carry anything else. Then that one's going to start getting full. And then it daisy chains in reverse back in terms of how the inventory fills up. Now, you don't need to come and jump over to the container, hit grab material. You don't need to do that. Once it's in the container, all you have to be is at the base, and you can access the inventory in here. Once I go over to my different workbenches here to try and make stuff, I don't need to then, make sure I'm grabbing the materials out of the containers. It's going to already feed off of that for me. So that's the benefit to having multiple resources in one base. The more resources you have in one base, the less you have to worry about transferring it from base to base. So once you have a decent amount of these, I'd say maybe 4 or 5 just to start with, it's going to take some time to fill up. One of the biggest, I guess, most widely used methods of making sure all your stuff gets filled up is just then build a chair. You can sit down in the chair and you can wait 24 hours. Wait 24 hours, get back up, and of course, it's going to pump out 24 hours worth of material that you would have done, which maybe will fill up the top 3 or 4, maybe 5 for me. So because I have so many, I did the Venus trick, where you go to Soul, the system Soul, and back out just so I can show you. You come over to Soul, you drop in, and you go to Venus, because the time frame on Venus is 100 to 1 basically. So if you sleep 24 hours on Venus, it's about 100 days everywhere else. So when I come back, it won't just be 1 day's worth of material that I just got. It'll be 100 days. So all these containers will be filled. That's why I said it doesn't matter how many extractors you build. It matters how many containers you build. You build 1,000 containers and you only build 1 extractor. If you hook that 1 extractor up and you sleep for 100 days of this planet's time, you're going to come back to this thing completely filled still. And that's how you always keep your infinite resources. Once you need nickel or iron or anything, I find a planet that has those resources, as many as possible in one. Try to find bases that you can build on those middle parts between the 2 resources. Try to capture all the resources you can into one base. Put down all of the different one of these that you can, and then start pumping it out. For inventory management purposes, I would recommend doing a stack next to the actual resource, so you're not mixing them. Like I say, this is nickel, that's gold, that's copper. I would put a stack over there, a stack right here, and a stack right here, and I have them linked to their own one, simply because when it comes time to linking these to a external container, which I'm about to explain, you want to make sure you're not mixing all your resources so you're getting an even amount to each. What I mean by that is, when I go back into my shop here and do this. So now that I have it all linked, I have another stack here because that got filled. So I started a whole nother stack and I linked my top one over. So basically when I said this stack gets filled, I want you to take it and put it to the first one in this stack. And then when this one gets filled, daisy chain that one up to this. So it's essentially just constantly just pumping it out. So the next thing that is a recommended must have is a cargo link. A cargo link is going to take material from one base and put it in another. That's simple. You drop it down, and it's automatic. You don't have to do anything. The only thing you have to do is link what container you want to go into the inlet. Outgoing. It says inlet is this one. It's when material's coming in from another base. So the outgoing is going to be anything you want leaving this base and going to another base. And once you build it, there's a little computer right here. You want to come to this computer and you want to type in, it's going to bring up the options of where you can send this material in terms of bases, and you just click the base you want it to go to. Now, for convenience sake, honorable mentions in terms of must-haves, I will say is definitely going to be a landing pad. So the landing pad makes it so that your ship isn't 18 miles away when you say you want to come back to your little base. Because when you say you want to come to your base and land, it's going to have a landing spot already made from when you put this down. Once your ship lands in that spot, that's where it's always going to land. The issue arises when you're trying to manually take things from one base and physically take it to another yourself. If your ship is forever away, you have to slowly creep your way over there, or run over there and wait, and run over there and wait. Or you can skip all that, get this pad. Your ship will always land on this pad whenever you come to this base, and as long as you're within the base range or 250 meters of your ship, you can just come into your inventory yourself and hit down here on the bottom left where your ship is. For Xbox, it's X because it says hold cargo hold. Press that, and this is my entire ship's cargo. I can come over to my inventory and dump whatever I have in my inventory over to my ship, just like that, anywhere on my base. So then I don't have to worry about getting over to the ship itself. I can just simply come in and drop in all the stuff I don't want to carry around. So those are the essentials to the base building. Now it gets a lot more complicated to that. I might do a video on a little bit more advanced base building, because like I said, there's a lot more you can build, especially once you start getting these resources pumped out. You can make some pretty incredible things. I've seen some insane builds online, but this is also the beginning of how you do the XP farm that I have. I'll put the link in the description for that video. It's how you can get, I don't know, I think I got maybe 5 levels every 10-20 minutes. If you do it even more efficiently than how I do it, you could probably get 10 levels every 10 to 15-20 minutes. It just depends on how quickly you're able to do it. PC can do it 10 times faster because on console we have to change the quantities. I have nowhere to live here. I don't have any buildings. I put those there so I can upgrade my actual outpost building skill, but you don't need it. This is all you need to have a base that is efficient and works. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I hope that helped people out some with the base building. I know it's not as daunting and crazy detailed to do it yourself, but you know, it helps to have a good basis from which to go, to know, you know, what you don't need to waste your materials on. One of the big downsides to this game is when you delete an item from the base, you don't get the materials back from it. So I don't want people building things and waste materials they went and maybe did a bunch for, when they can just come here, see what you really are going to need, and then go from there to expand. Anyway, I'll catch you guys in the next video. I'm going to keep doing some more Starfield videos on basics and then more advanced things. I've got some hours in this game now. I think I'm over 500 now. So anytime I find something, I'll make sure to crank out a video, try to get as detailed without going too overdrawn in it as I can. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Catch you in the next video.